Welcome to the Department of Chemistry, Nelson Mandela University. This is our chemistry laboratories. We are going to do a short tour of it. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Samuel Bosman. I will be a laboratory instructor for general chemistry and analytical chemistry. Now, this is our teaching laboratory over here. And first of all, you can actually see that we've got some information signs over here. First of all, protective clothing must be worn when practical science session. Everyone have heard during the COVID-19 period about protective clothing, and we call it PPE. That is protective equipment. Protective equipment, personal protective equipment. We've got safety goggles, first of all, and then we've got a white laboratory dust coat. And also we do have closed shoes, which are very important inside the laboratory. That are the PPE that are needed to enter the laboratory at all times before any experiments can be done. We also got very important signs, which are regulations. No smoking is allowed inside there, no drinking is allowed, and no eating are allowed inside the lab. Here we've got a fumute. It's labeled fumute number 7. Your fumutes are being used for extraction purposes of toxic gases. Very important. Inside our fumutes, we normally have waste bottles for organic or inorganic waste. And then, very important, below fumute number 7, in the cupboard we do have our first aid kit and also our emergency spill kits. I'm just going to open it up, show it to you guys what it looks like. We've got our first aid kit, and then we've got fire blankets in terms of intense fires. Also our emergency spill kits for excessive spills. An essential equipment of any laboratory, especially chemistry laboratory, are fire extinguishers. Please look out for the signs. We can have a look over there. That indicates that right below that specific sign there are fire extinguishers. There are certain rules and regulations pertain to using these. They are classified in terms of A, B, C, D fires, but we will elaborate on that further as we go along with our unit. Very important is to identify fire extinguishers by means of the signs in case of any emergencies. Another necessity in terms of safety, an eye wash station which contains water, and not ordinary tap water but deionized water to clean out your eye in case of any emergencies. Please look out for the eye wash stations, been labeled with that specific sign. It gives instructions how to actually use the eye wash station. And right at the bottom of that, we also got our burn treatment station. These are for burns as a result of acids or bases, which we use in the laboratory, and these type of burns are very common. So we do use household products to actually neutralize the burns. Ammonia solution for acid burns, because that's a base versus an acid, and it's the same. We've got here a base, sodium bicarbonate, against an acid burn, and we've got vinegar, ordinary vinegar, for neutralization of alkaline burns. And this is our burn treatment station for ordinary acid and bases burns. We've got an analytical tool which is called analytical balances, and they are situated on balance stations. We are at balance station number 4. As you can see, at each of these stations you will find analytical balance. You'll also find an inorganic waste container. You'll also find a top loader balance. Together with that, you'll find a brush for cleaning purposes. Now, our analytical balance are the most expensive balance in our laboratory. It's got 4 decimal places. It is very accurate and extremely sensitive, and the range in the price range of 25,000 Rand and plus per unit. We do have our top loader balances over here, which are much cheaper version of a balance, 2 digitals or 2 decimal place balance, much cheaper but still very pricey at between 3,000 and 5,000 a unit depending on the supplier. At each of our balance stations, like I've said, we do have these balances and they must be treated with the utmost care and look after because they are very expensive and are one of our best analytical tools that we have. I'm just going to introduce the setup of the laboratory. We've got our workbenches, which are divided into benches or labeled benches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as we go along. Each of these benches do have 6 workstations associated with it. And as you can see that on the specific plug over here, we've got a number which indicates us that this is workstation number 4. Next one will be workstation number 5, and that is how it continues. So at bench number 1, we do have workstations 1 to 6. So that means we can accommodate normally 6 students with ample space between them, and they can comfortably work like that. Right, so basically your workstation are very important to you as a student, also your bench number. Remember that you work at bench number 1, workstation 4. In association with workstation number 4 and bench number 1, you will find that there are 4 different lockers. You will see that you got an analytical locker, which do have glassware inside it. You also have a general chemistry equipment locker, which do have equipment associated with chemistry inside it. And then we've got a belongings and bag and books locker, which are normally empty. Whenever you come into the lab, it will always be empty because that is where you are going to put your bag, your books, and whatever things you're not going to use inside the lab with your experiments, you're going to leave it inside there. That is a safety precaution to make sure that your benches are not cluttered. There's nothing on the floor, there's nothing on the sides. So very important, each one of you should have an empty belongings, bags and book locker available for you at each of these sessions. Important, your analytical chemistry locker is being called analytical chemistry locker because it do contain a mixture of analytical and general chemistry glassware. And we are going to identify them as we go along. Inside that specific locker, you will find a variety of glassware. You need to be very careful. They are all glassware which are manufactured, specific conditions, and they are extremely expensive. So please, it needs to be handled with care. So whenever you unpack it, you need to do it very, very careful. Okay, what we do have here is glassware from the analytical locker, and we do have a variety of glassware as been indicated. A PowerPoint presentation will be sent to you people to identify these glassware and get used to it. Right? It's not very easy to do it as such, but inside your locker you will find glassware which contains of beakers. Just to mention a couple, you do have conical flasks, smaller beaker, watch glasses, even a spoon spatula. So basically you have quite a variety of glassware which you need to know what they are and how to use them and when to use them. So it's going to be very important for you to know these things. An assignment will be sent out to you to identify these, and as soon as we do start with our experimental work, you would be able to use all of it for specific purposes. Like I've mentioned, these glassware are very expensive. You've got pipettes, which are volumetric glassware, designed by glass blowers specifically, and very accurate and precise, very pricey. And one of the more expensive, or the most expensive inside your locker, is what, okay, I must identify to you guys, which are called a volumetric burette, which are used for titrations. And at this moment, this is an A-grade burette, and they go at least at 400 Rand per unit plus that. Okay, so it's one of the more expensive pieces of equipment. You need to handle them with care.